I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Now, up until that point, the films that you had done had been specifically, left field. There's the satire of Dark Star. There's the savage intensity of Assault on Precinct 13, which is somewhere between a thriller and, I think it has, a horror edge. The Babysitter Murder sounds as a pitch to be a very just straightforward slasher premise, but what you did to it was to turn it on its head. Tell me something about how you took that project on and made it your own.
Well, when you're dealing with, in Halloween or any kind of horror movie like that, you're dealing in very familiar territory. Psycho is kind of the granddaddy of that kind of movie. Not that it's the greatest ever made, but it's the one that influenced everyone. That principle of the suspense, the Hitchcock suspense thing of showing the bomb, and you can get much more suspense than surprise, is true, but what you can do is, once you establish the suspense, then you can do your shocks along the way, and that'll scare the hell out of people. They'll go completely crazy. They know something's going to happen. In a horror movie, you go and you know something's going to happen. The question is when.
Standing on the lawn, he could have seen inside.
I thought the idea was, I don't know about this, but I needed a job. I wanted to be a director. So I added this slight supernatural edge to this guy. Sure, he's a person who escapes from a mental institution, and he comes back to revisit his small town, but he can't be killed, and there's a certain feeling of, maybe he is not quite a human being.
His next movie is, it's pretty popular, I think, a little film called Halloween.
Yeah, it had some legs,
Yeah, it's a little bit of a cult movie. It did some business.
Yeah.
It did business in the fact that it was incredibly successful and basically created the
slasher horror movie.
Slasher genre.
Slasher, yeah.
So, again, we get a Carpenter movie with a drive-in synthesizer score, a homage to Howard Hawks because The Thing is playing on the TV. Nick Castle is involved again. First time collaboration with Donald Pleasance, who I think the reason why he joined the cast of the movie was because his daughter liked Dark Star, and he said, "Oh, it's made by John Carpenter. You should do it, Dad." He said, "All right." So at this point,
if you insist,
if you insist, it's better. It's like, Halloween or Puma Man.
Right. and he was like, "Hey, look, I got enough time in my schedule for both."
Wait, what's Puma Man?
Oh, we'll tell.
Oh, man.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it's not John Carpenter, but it's got Donald Pleasance in it, and
it's ridiculous.
It's wonderful.
Is it about a man who turns into a puma?
It is indeed.
Ooh.
Well, kind
not
of.
really, kind of.
It's
he
like
flies.
Like a dork.
Oh,
flies
is it
like a moron.
Please, was this on Mystery Science Theater?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, then I've got to see it.
Don't worry. Yeah, it's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah, first thing he does is poop on my car. Look out for the... Oh, boy, right into the propellers. Yo.
Oh, we gave him the Captain Dork costume by mistake.
Pooh, my man, he flies like a moron. Dun, dun, dun.
He has the power to rear project major cities.
So, is there anything really we can add to Halloween?
No.
You know, I think it's really overrated, to be honest. I mean, it's a good movie. I mean, I enjoyed it, but like, you know, in terms of it being, I mean, maybe it's one of those things where, you know, you have so much saturation in a genre that once you get to the point of its origin, you're just sort of like nonplussed. You know, it's like, okay, that's there, you know. But yeah, I don't know. You know, like to me, I felt like Assault on Precinct 13 shows far more of Carpenter's capabilities as a filmmaker, where Halloween is just kind of this, you know, it's sort of moody and you know, it's pretty good about creating like kind of an atmosphere and that sort of thing. Is just sort of this paranoia that you have, you know, going throughout the movie, but ultimately it doesn't really amount to a whole lot. You know, a couple of horny teenagers get killed, and that's about it.
I think it's sort of like how people look back at Rocky, since, you know, that was like the ground base for every sports movie,
right.
Underdog sports movie. You know, I think Rocky still holds up, and I think Halloween still holds up as well.
Sure.
Maybe it's just because I've never really been into like slasher movies. You know, I've only seen the first Friday the 13th. I haven't really followed, and I've seen Halloween 1, 2, bits of 3, and then the rest of it I've never really. I'm not really into the slasher. I'm into murder mysteries. I'm into serial killer movies, but the slasher movies I've never been interested in. So Halloween's sort of like, you know, that's my one movie to go to, and I think really Halloween works is that I think, especially if you compare it to the Rob Zombie remake. Yeah, it's sort of, I think the slasher movies just sort of go through like, just for shock value, I think. We'll just make this as grungy and, you know, just, you know, repulsive as possible. Let's have the characters just be. That's one of the things that Carpenter realized. You know, there wasn't anyone bad in Halloween. They were horny, but they weren't bad.
Yeah, the only bad person in that movie was Michael Myers.
Right. There wasn't.
Well, I don't know. Dr. Loomis seems a bit unhinged for a psychiatrist to me.
Devil's eyes. They're gone. It's gone.
Like a doll's eyes. So you can only imagine what's going on through that sheriff's head as the doctor's just kind of explaining stuff to him and like going on about Mike Myers, just like, yeah, he's like a monster. Okay, he's inhuman. That's good. Can I get some backup, please?
Maybe I should take the gun away from him. But at least this Loomis had a better head on his shoulders than the Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
Loomis.
Oh my god.
That guy had problems.
You know something about the Rob Zombie remake. I will admit I actually like Rob Zombie as a director, for the most part, but those Halloween movies, no.
Yeah.
The biggest problem was they tried to explain how Michael Myers is a monster, and I disagree with that heavily.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that with sort of like how how I said that we don't humanize the gang members in so in Precinct 13. Halloween just begins with this ordinary kid killing his sister for no reason, and that's essentially it. You know.
Well,
it's not supposed to be realistic, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like unpleasant. I mean, just kind of like the well, I mean, obviously it's not meant to be, you know, like happy-go-lucky, but I mean, it's just, you know, with Zombie's focus on Mike Myers, it just sort of seems I don't know, just gratuitous, I guess. I mean, like is the kid supposed to be a sociopath, or is he supposed to be like a normal kid who got pushed too far in an abusive household, or what? And it's just like this weird focus on it.
An origin.
Yeah, true. So, I mean, yeah, and what's kind of neat, to me, like in terms of that idea of humanity, I mean, like the last, you know, few seconds in Halloween do more to me to humanize Mike Myers than anything that Rob Zombie tried to do in the remake.
I'm sorry, calling him Mike Myers is bringing out a funny image.
Oh, yeah. Hey, sorry about the misunderstanding. Whoa. I just couldn't see through this mask. I thought I was getting attacked by all this. Crazy. Swing!
I'm sorry, but even though technically this isn't a John Carpenter movie since he only produced it, can we talk about Halloween 3 real quick?
Yes, we can talk about Halloween 3.
Yeah, I wanted to skip over 2 because it's Halloween 1 and 2 are pretty much just one big giant movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Carpenter didn't direct 2, but it's still,
He wrote it, I believe.
He wrote, produced, and he did the music for all 3.
Yeah. But Halloween 3, that's probably the only John Carpenter movie I've seen.
That's very strange that you would see the movie that everyone basically ignores, rather unfairly.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not a bad movie. It's just, I don't know, that people were just so confused that Michael Myers wasn't in it.
Well, I don't know. It's sort of like, I guess maybe just the marketing, because I think anyone who would see the trailer, it says Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Does this at any point indicate that, that Michael Myers is in it?
No. But then, to be fair, there's no witches in it either.
No, that's true, but...
Technically, no, but yeah. Well, I mean, it's I mean, I agree with you in the sense, like, at what point does a brand hurt you? I mean, like, nobody goes to see Paranormal Activity thinking, like, oh, I really want to know what happens to Katie. Like, they could give a shit who was, like, in the movie. They just want to see somebody, like, getting harassed by a demon on night vision. You know what I mean? That's all that they care. Or Saw. You know what I mean? Like maybe, like, as long as there's, like, traps and, like, somebody who sounds like Jigsaw, in there,
And the puppet.
And the puppet. That's all they need. But, like, for some reason, you have this fixation on Michael Myers, but... rather than on, that the holiday has, some kind of special significance.
So now we move on to The Fog.
God, I can't believe. Why not 6? I fucked it up. Cut. 344, take 3.
Great. Now let me see your face in there. That's it.
John Carpenter's The Fog.
This is KB Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and keep a watch out for that fog bank heading in from the east.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unknown came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Oh, Jesus.
100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something unnatural came out of the fog. Now it has returned. 100 years ago, between midnight and 1, something evil came out of the fog. Now it has returned.
Who's there?
The Fog.
Antonio Bay has a curse on it. We're all cursed. There's no water getting here, but something awful cold, Dana.
I think I'll go to Vancouver now.
Where's the fog now?
Well, it should be right outside my door now.
Oh, there's something different about this fog. Dan, stay away from the door! Someone listen to me!
Get inside and lock your doors. Close your windows. There's something in the fog. Stay away from the fog. From the creator of Halloween, the ultimate experience in terror and suspense. John Carpenter's The Fog, starring Adrienne Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, John Houseman, Janet Leigh as Kathy Williams, and Hal Holbrook as Father Malone. The Fog. What you can't see won't hurt you. It will kill you. Between midnight and 1, it will find you.
All right, so The Fog. It's been a long time since I've seen The Fog. I know the basic premise. Basic premise is that it's a fog's moving into this town, this very supernatural fog, and it's essentially a pirate story. These pirates from the undead want. Is this a spoiler, or is it kind of given away?
Well, I mean, you're kind of right. I mean, in the sense of what it's about. I mean, it seems like it's a sort of a ghost pirate kind of story, but then as you get further along, it becomes clear that there's a different motivation from the sort of the threat, the supernatural threat.
I'm sorry. Pirates?
Pirates.
My interest in this movie has gone through the roof.
So, it's really been a long time. I know how it ends.
Yeah.
I know how it ends, I think.
Now, the reception to this movie was mixed. I'm wondering why. Maybe they thought that, because obviously, after the huge success of Halloween, I guess the studio said, okay, you need to make a horror movie. You're going to need to make another horror movie. So it became, from the guy who brought you Halloween comes The Fog. Maybe it was mixed because it was something different, or people didn't think that it measured up to Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, The Fog to me is like it's pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say, like, I guess, like to me I'd say it's on par with Halloween, but like with the pacing, I guess like The Fog can be a little slow sometimes.
Wait,
Isn't
The Fog like a Stephen King book?
That was a book, but it's not related.
Oh, you mean The Mist?
The Mist.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Oh, interesting. Sorry, what the next in his filmography is based off of a Stephen King book. So.
Oh.
Well, soon.
But yeah, the Fog is basically just sort of a small town with something to hide, right? It has this sort of event happening with this supernatural fog where people are getting horribly killed, whenever it appears. And so you got this guy who's in town trying to kind of uncover the mystery and figure out how to stop it, basically. So that's kind of the driving thrust of the movie, and it's cool. It's kind of like I don't know, sort of appease the dragon, I guess, in terms of like thinking of the threat, or well, maybe that's unfair, but like you have somebody that's at a position of unrest, and you want them to be at rest, in order to placate them, basically. So that's kind of the central conflict there. So it's pretty good. I think it's, like I said, to me it's a little slow with the pacing. It's like, I think a bit more than 90 minutes long. So, and whenever Carpenter's movies get longer than that, they tend to be a little bit too long. But
quick thoughts on the remake.
Yes, I was going to say that. I was going to say, of all the John Carpenter movies which have been remade, The Fog is probably the worst remake ever.
Even more so than The Thing?
I haven't seen The Thing. I know about The Thing. I know the stupidity that happens in The Thing. But with The Fog, they had no idea what they were doing. Or maybe it was studio meddling, where basically the ending happened And I remember watching this with relatives. I didn't see the whole movie, but the ending happening, everyone was like, wait, what? That totally came out of nowhere. That ending makes no sense whatsoever. And it's essentially, it's still Pirates kind of Ghost in a way, but it's, I know it's like everyone hated that movie when it came out. And probably the Carpenter version looks like, oh, that one's much better in comparison to this piece of crap. I think the only thing that people remember about The Fog is the remake. That it starred that guy from the Smallville show.
Oh yeah, Superman.
Shit. I'm sorry.
So, moving on, a brief project that I should mention is a Carpenter directed a television movie called Elvis.
My name is John Carpenter, and I'm directing Elvis, the life story of Elvis Presley.
Way back! Be careful.
One for the money, two for the show. Three, get ready now, go, cat, go, but don't you step on my boots, baby, shoes. Well, you can do anything, play off on my boots, but you. You can knock me down, step on my face, play my name all over the place. Do anything you want to do, but I'm honey, lay off my shoes, no shoes. Step on my boots, but you. Well, you can do anything, lay off my boots, but you.
Oh yeah.
Which I haven't seen, so I'm not going to talk about it because I can't talk about things I haven't seen. The only thing notable about it, really, well, it got good reviews apparently.
No. Let me talk about this one. The only other thing noticeable about that movie, Kurt motherfucking Russell.
Ain't bad enough I gotta do those idiot movies. Now they're messing with my songs.
What happened?
I just heard what they did behind my back. Behind my back! You can't even hear the Jordanaires. They got my voice so loud you can't hear nothing else.
Elvis, it's one
They think
song.
the fans just want to hear my voice, see? So they let some idiot gal up in New York amplify my voice. You think they care what I think? No way!
But they're producers. They're
my songs! They got no right!
And he never stopped playing Elvis Presley.
Nope. It's one of many things that Kurt Russell has done, Elvis related, including playing opposite Elvis when he was a child actor way back when in the 60s.
Hey kid, how would you like to kick me in the shin?
How would I like to kick you in the shin?
Huh?
Mister, are you drunk?
No kidding. I'll tell you what. If you kick me in the shin real hard, I'll give you a quarter. Okay, go ahead, play it. Ah! Whew. It's a good one. It's a good one, boy.
Adams. They're all nuts.
But we move on. We move on to the greatness that is John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
New York, 1997. The entire city is a walled maximum security prison. The bridges are mined. The rivers are patrolled. And the United States Police Force has everything under control, they think.
I'm going in.
John Carpenter's Escape from New York, the high adventure of the future. One man must go in where no man has ever gotten out. And if he comes back alone, his nightmare has just begun.
Who are you?
John Carpenter's Escape from New York.
Heard you were dead.
John Carpenter's Escape from New York, the greatest escape of them all, is about to blow the future apart.
His first feature-length movie collaboration with Kurt Russell after Elvis, and one of many he would do. Obviously, a lot of people involved in this. Deborah Hill, co-written with Nick Castle, sharing the music credits with Alan Halworth, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
Donald Pleasance returns.
Donald Pleasance returns, and this was Kurt Russell saying, after doing many years of Disney movies and voicing Disney characters, like I think at the time he had just done, or he was about to do the voice for The Fox and the Hound. I can do Gritty. Yeah, he does the voice of Adult Copper, the dog.
Oh yeah, he does.
So this is him saying, you know, I can be gritty too. Escape from New York. In 1988, the crime rate rises 100%. The United States Police Force is formed. 1999, you know, the island of Manhattan is now a federal prison. The rules are simple. Once you go in, you don't come out. Basic plot. Donald Pleasance, who plays the President of the United States, his jet is hijacked by a terrorist, crashes into New York, and he's now being held hostage by the Duke of New York, played by Isaac Hayes.
Are you serious?
Isaac motherfucking Hayes is...
Isaac Hayes is the bad guy in this movie?
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, I want all the things the president gets. Oh.
Is that what he actually sounds like?
Well, he has that deep voice.
Well,
you know?
Oh my god, I want to see this so bad now.
What did I teach you?
You are Duke of New York. You're a number one.
I can't hear you.
You are the Duke of New York. You're a number one.
So they luckily the United States Police Force, led by John Van Cleef,
Lee Van Cleef.
Lee Van Cleef. Thank you. Luckily, they just got in the wanted mercenary Snake Plissken, former Special Forces guy, who's now one of the most wanted men in this country. He's now been arrested, and he's about to go into New York as a prisoner, but they say, you know, you go in, rescue the president, and you're a free man. And to make sure he doesn't run away, they put a poison in him, saying, you know, if you don't get him out in 24 hours, you're gonna die.
Wait, just only 24 hours? That seems a bit short.
Well, he has 24 hours because the president was on his way to the Hartford summit, and it's 1999, which back in the 1980s, this was far into the future. Remember, at the time, the Cold War was still going on.
Yeah.
So apparently, in this future, I think the Cold War is still going on. So so it's essentially this, we're still the Cold War is still going on. So it's this it's a very important conference. And
right, he's got like nuclear codes and that sort of thing.
And he has a tape that he has this very important tape that needs to be played. So they need him in 24 hours to get him ready to get him to this conference. And so after that, it's like we can get a new president because fuck it, we missed the conference, and the Soviet Union went back home. So yeah, Snake Plissken must go in to where no man has come out, and with every many Carpenter films, he goes in and meets a assortment of very strange characters, including Ernest Borgnine as a taxi driver.
Wait, isn't Ernest Borgnine? You mean Mermaid Man from SpongeBob?
I never seen that.
I'm not aware of him doing voice work, but it could be.
Yes, he was Mermaid Man. Yes, in SpongeBob, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was him. And of course, at least we forget Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders.
Oh.
Oh,
What is this?
This is another Mystery Science Theater 3000 we're assigning you to watch at some point. It's fantastic.
What is it?
We'll discuss it later.
Yeah,
we gotta keep moving. His second movie with Andrea Barbeau, who was his wife at the time, Harry Dean Stanton, John Doubleday returning from Assault on Precinct 13. Tom Atkins is in this again. He would be the main character in Halloween 3, and he'd be in Prince of Darkness. Another great synthesizer score. So yeah, Cave, thoughts on Escape from New York?
Awesome, from start to finish. I mean, just like again, just making the most of. I mean, it wasn't no budget for the film, but it was not probably the most that you could get for like such a film, and just absolutely stellar look to the whole thing. Very, very dark and moody, kind of appearance. Clearly, had an influence on things like Frank Miller's artwork for Dark Knight Returns. Clearly inspired by Escape from New York. Just really fun, kind of thing. Just very, very like high concept, kind of stuff, and like Snake Plissken's just like a really fun, just grumpy character, the whole time, and it's you got a time set for everything to happen, so there's that element of tension, and just all these different cool scenes in these different places, like I think the Duke is centered in like it's the square, right? The Madison Square Garden, I think.
Not really. Well, there is an arena. But I think it's supposed to be one of the train stations.
Okay, yeah, it was either like a train station or Madison Square. I couldn't remember, but they meet up at the front steps of the library. There's just trash everywhere. World Trade Center, of course. Yeah, he flies past the World Trade Center in a glider.
Yeah, he lands on the World Trade Center in his glider.
Yeah.
So but
hey, it still existed in 1999. So
I know, but am I the only one who cringes whenever I watch old movies about New York and it shows that?
No, I'm just glad to see them because they've been gone for so long. I'm just glad to see them instead of I hate when they do like period movies nowadays and they don't show it, and it's just like, okay, come on,
they don't show. Well, yeah, of course they don't show it.
I know they don't show it, but you can't just ignore it. You can't ignore that they were there.
I guess you can.
But and strangely enough, this movie was only 2 scenes were shot in New York.
Oh yeah, most of it was shot in St. Louis.
St. Louis, because they had a giant downtown fire, so they had all these, and they hadn't been cleaned up, so they could just film on all these different blocks and just kind of redress it and move the trash around, and they probably got used out of like one street.
That's fantastic.
So the way that they light different things, it was actually filmed in a number of places. The 2 locations in New York they filmed was a brief shot at Liberty Island, a shot from from Jersey. We get this like that after Snake's been captured, and we see Lee Van Cleef looking at New York. It's like sunset. It's sunrise. That was shot in New York. Mostly shot in St. Louis. Shot in parts of downtown LA for some interiors. Indian Dunes for the World Trade Center, the roof set. That was shot at Indian Dunes.
What's Indian Dunes?
Indian Dunes is a famous ranch that they use for filming. Also the site of the infamous Twilight Zone accident. That's sort of like it's another one.
Oh, for the movie?
Yeah.
And Oh, that.
Yes. And there was a scene shot in Atlanta. A deleted scene that was shot in Atlanta when the new subway system MARTA just opened when they shot this. And actually, I want to briefly talk about the deleted scene because I'm assuming, Cave, you've seen it.
I haven't seen the deleted scene.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, this will be new for me.
Yeah, and this YouTube, there's two versions. There's one with and without commentary, with Carpenter and Russell discussing.
Quick question before.
Yes.
Is it important to the plot?
Well, it explains how Snake got arrested. Because in the movie, it just opens with him getting off the prison bus. He arrives. He's taken through the detention center, and he doesn't say anything until he speaks with Lee Van Cleef. And Lee Van Cleef says, you got arrested for robbing the Federal Reserve. And that's what we see in the deleted scene. The deleted scene opens up with Snake disguised as a maintenance man. He leaves the bank, goes down to a subway station, meets up with a partner of his who's credited in the final movie, but of course he got edited out. They get on the train. It's supposed to be that in the future there's a subway system that runs underneath the entire United States. Because they're like, they go to San Francisco. They're like, they end up in San Francisco.
Why the hell did the president go on a plane then?
I don't know. I guess he doesn't like using public transportation.
Okay.
He's like, this is nasty. I don't like this place.
So,
let me fly in style.
And a bit of futurism. They open up the bag with the money, and it's all on credit cards. Thinking about the future there. There's no money now. It's just cards, prepaid cards.
That's actually a pretty good prediction.
So they get off the train. They walk up a flight of stairs, and his partner Taylor says, "Hey, what's wrong, Snake?" He's like, "Something's not right." "Hey, we made it!" And of course, Taylor gets shot, and it's revealed that the police were waiting for them. And this is why this scene might be. This would open immediately after the main credits, before we see the prison. In the final, it's credits, and we see the opening prison shot of New York. So this takes place in between that. This is what would have been. Apparently, they cut it because the test audiences were confused. So they said, "Okay, cut it, and just open up with the prison." And this is the really kind of noteworthy thing about this scene is that Snake runs away. He goes down a flight of escalators. He can run into the tunnel and escape. He can get away, but he goes back for his friend. He's like, Taylor, and you see that this one moment of humanity is like, I should run, but I can't. So he goes back up the stairs, and his friend's there bleeding, and the police are there, and he says, Taylor, drop the bag. He's like, Snake, go on. You can make it. He's like, Taylor, drop the bag, and of course the police shoot and kill him, and then he's arrested. So Carpenter said that I think he's glad that he cut it because it kind of puts Snake in a mindset, and he preferred the Snake who walks in with attitude, lives with attitude, and leaves with attitude. So
yeah,
so one of the questions I wanted to pose to you: do you think that maybe showing? I mean, he does have some a couple of human moments in it. We actually he regrets that some of the friends, quote unquote friends, allies that help him along the way, when they get killed off, you do see regret, and obviously he pays the president back when the president kind of brushes off those people who are killed.
Right.
He gives them the chance. Yeah.
We honor their sacrifice and all that kind of whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wondering, do you think maybe that deleted scene should have stayed in? Obviously, you haven't seen it yet, but just from my description.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the description, I would agree with Carpenter. I mean, that kind of reminds me of, in terms of the sequencing, that kind of sounds like the the Running Man a little bit, you know, and I think in the case of the Running Man, they made the wrong decision where they don't start with the prison. They start with, you know, the unedited story of what happens with the you know, Schwarzenegger's character, you know, where you see that he's been unjustly, you know, imprisoned, and you see that he had tried to disobey this unethical order, but I think it's a lot more effective when you have kind of an anti-hero to, you know, if you want to show kind of his softer side that is shown later through the film, and you're not sure about where he stands, and I think that works better into that kind of ambiguity for Snake, where, you know, where it does really seem like he could, you know, just go ahead and you know, just drop this whole thing and not care about anybody, but he's got enough, you know, like self-interest and enough, you know, empathy that he'll kind of go through and get the mission done, you know. But yeah, I would agree with Carpenter's call on that.
Drop the bag, Taylor.
Go on, Snake. Go on, man.
Taylor, drop the bag.
And let me just say, Snake Plissken is the best action hero name I have ever heard in my life.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's like, I don't think... Is there anything that comes close to it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like action hero names always like ride this fine line between like going too far and sounding like a porn star name or something like that. You know, like what's the guy's name?
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, I can't remember. But
I'm sorry, Darkside. I don't know if you recorded this or not, but
I was recording it.
I just wanted to say that just for you to hear that the only thing I have to add about from Escape from New York, that if it wasn't for this movie, we would not have Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. I'm trying to think of what else to say about Escape from New York. Good special effects for the budget.
Very good.
And then we'll discuss the special effects for Escape from LA when we get to that piece of shit. James Cameron was one of the special effects guys. So that's one thing to add. I'm trying to think of anything else to say. It's definitely more of a suspense movie than it is an action movie. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would say there's not like a ton of action in it. You know, it's definitely not like wall to wall, you know, gunfights and car chases. I mean, those are present in the film, but they're certainly not. I don't think that's the point. You know, the point is to try to save the president, you know, against the clock, and you know, like Yeah, there's definitely a lot of moments where he gets hung up, and he gets caught at one point, and so yeah, I'd say definitely it's not. I mean, it's a bit of a blend, but I would say more of a suspense film. More akin to like Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
Than something like, say, Die Hard or.
Right. And it's not negative. I'm not saying that in terms of being a negative. It's just sort of like the
Sure.
action is not really focused upon. It's really about the atmosphere that we're in. Even though it was filmed in St. Louis, but Carpenter does such a great work that you actually believe you're in this Manhattan that's a prison. And I know for years there's been a discussion about our Escape from New York remake, and with a high budget of a studio backed Escape from New York movie, they're going to show off every single possible New York location they can and make it into dystopian. Like, they're going to show Madison Square Garden or Grand Central or Times Square. They're going to do something.
He'll meet Jay-Z, and they'll do that the Empire State of Mind at one point.
And it's going to be like just balls to the wall gunfights and CGI car chases and all that.
Hey, you don't know that. Maybe it won't, but probably.
But that, you see, that's what people expect nowadays from these type. Escape from New York wasn't about Snake Plissken killing as many people as he could. It was about going in as stealthily as possible and getting this guy out. It was more of a stealth movie and a suspense movie than it was about, I'm going to murder every single guy I come across in my path. There's a scene where there's like a clan of prisoners that live in the sewers, in the underground, and then the subway systems. They come up from like manholes, and he's getting chased. And he kills a couple of them, but he knows he's outnumbered, so he just focuses on running. And it's a suspenseful sequence, whereas if you made it today, it would have been like just bullets flying. Well, that's another thing I should mention, is that Snake is the only guy in this movie who has a gun. There are, the prisoners use like handheld weapons. In this movie, they don't use firearms because they're in a prison. Because
there's a lot of clubs and bludgeons and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So, I guess we can move on from the awesomeness that is Escape from New York, unless anyone has any final thoughts.
No, just go see it. God,
I want to lick Kurt Russell's mullet.
I can actually add two things about this. One thing, I had to congratulate the continuity person on this movie, because at one point Snake gets his leg injured, and for the rest of the movie he walks with a limp. You think, like, in a more modern movie they would have said, well, we can't have the hero limping throughout the movie, so let's just say he gets better.
Right, he does some stretching exercises at one point. That'll explain away his not having a limp.
The only thing I can say, the last story I can say about Escape from New York, is that Kurt Russell relayed the story about when they were filming in St. Louis, and they had no security working on this movie. So they were in this dilapidated, burned down part of St. Louis and filming at night, and no security. And Carpenter said, okay, Kurt, you're going to be blocks down there. You're going to turn the corner and walk towards the camera. And that's basically going to be the scene. So Kurt walks a couple blocks down, turns the corner, is waiting for his cue. And a couple guys approach him. Some rough-looking guys. And they basically pull out some knives and want to mug him. And all Kurt does is he turns around and points his prop machine gun at them, and they go, "Hey, easy, man, easy," and they walk away. And then from down the street, you hear Carpenter go, "And action, Kurt!" And Kurt just did the scene, and that was it. So
that's awesome.
Oh my God!
Hey, easy, man, easy.
That is awesome.
Imagine if they saw the movie. Hey, that's the the motherfucker with an eye patch that pointed a machine gun at us.
He's like,
So he was an actor. Oh,
we could have mugged him.
It's like, well, look what we got here, Boosey. Yeah, mullet guy going.